After 12 years of neglect, she revealed an incredible love for the forgotten baby, and the fate of an entire town hung in the balance. The autumn sun peeked through the rustling leaves, casting a warm glow on the diner where Lily served coffee like she poured her heart thick and steady. For 12 years, she had balanced plates and filled mugs, sacrificing her dreams of painting for the life of a caretaker, providing warmth to her ailing mother and her 3 younger siblings. But today, everything changed. As Lily stepped out for a breath of fresh air, something soft and crumpled caught her eye on the diner's steps. A sudden chill gripped her, and she approached with a racing heart. What she saw took her breath away: a tiny, wailing baby, swaddled in nothing more than a thin blanket. She scooped the baby into her arms, cradling the fragile life against her chest. The warmth of the infant's body ignited a fierce sense of protector within her. This was no ordinary moment, this was a call to action. "Oh my God! What do I do?" she whispered, her voice barely above a trembling breath. Even the forgotten dreams of her canvas waited for a moment that felt infinitely distant. She had put everything on hold for her family, but this revelation pulsed with urgency. Lily's feet moved instinctively as she rushed inside. The diner was her second home, filled with laughter, love, and occasional judgment. Could they understand her? Would they support this desperate act of kindness? As word spread, gossip wrapped around the town like the autumn fog. Friends turned wary, and heartfelt conversations turned icy. How could she, little Lily, the waitress, dream of saving a life when her own was barely afloat? Whispers and stares clouded the diner, mingling with the rich aroma of home-cooked meals. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. The weight of Lily's choice hung heavy in the air. With each passing day, she felt the community's judgment slicing deeper, yet something flickered within her. While the town stewed in disdain, she found unexpected allies among regulars like Old Joe, who always had a soft spot for the underdog. Slowly but surely, sympathy began to blossom where bitterness once ruled. But as she fought for the baby, the struggles of her own family loomed larger than ever. How could she seek to nurture this new life when hers seemed a battleground? In the climactic town hall meeting, emotions boiled over. Lily stood before her neighbors, her heart racing. She needed to challenge the very prejudices that paralyzed them. Would she be able to bridge the divide? The stakes were high. She wasn't just fighting for a baby, she was fighting for the soul of her town. As she spoke, her voice echoed, and for a brief moment, silence enveloped them all. Would love prevail over fear? But just as hope flickered, an unexpected revelation crept into the room. Secrets were about to unravel, threatening to tear apart the fragile bond she fought so hard to weave. Could the brief moment of solidarity she rekindled survive the storm? The air crackled with uncertainty, leaving her and the community at a crossroads, waiting for the answers that might change everything. Lily's breath hitched in her throat as the murmurs of the crowd intensified. Lines formed across the faces she once considered familiar, now twisted with doubt and fear. Old Joe's nod of encouragement felt like a distant memory against the rising tide of disbelief that surged before her. The warmth she had felt minutes ago seemed to slip away, but amidst the uncertainty, a flicker of determination ignited a path forward. "Please, listen," she began, her voice glowing with purpose and trembling vulnerability. "I know I am just a waitress in your eyes. But this baby, this little one deserves a chance. I may not know who left them, but I can't believe that any parent would want their child forgotten. What if we could be the family they never had?" Silence fell over the room. Eyes widened, mouth slightly parted as they processed her words. It felt like an eternity before someone spoke up. "And how do you plan to support a baby?" A voice, heavy with skepticism, cut through the quiet atmosphere. It was Sally, a longtime resident and once a friend. "Your plate is already overflowing." Lily took a deep breath. "I won't deny that," she replied softly. "But I am here, standing before you all, ready to do whatever it takes. I have no money to spare, but I have love. Isn't that what we all need?" The room stirred. A ripple of murmurs danced among the townsfolk. As Lily's gaze swept over the sea of faces, she saw uncertainty battling with the flicker of support in a few. Could she make them realize that her collective love could carry their town forward? But just then, the tension shattered like glass when the meeting room doors flung open. Surprised faces turned, and in strolled the mayor, a figure cloaked in authority and solemnity. He scanned the room, finally landing his eyes on Lily. "Lily," he intoned, his voice projecting a mixture of authority and concern. "I demand to know what is going on here. You can't just come in here and sir, I'm asking them for help." She interrupted, heart racing. "I have to protect this baby. We have to come together." The mayor frowned, hands perched on his hips. "And what do you think anyone can do? You're not a mother, you're a waitress. No one here is equipped for this and you can't carry the weight of that baby alone. Why not?" Lily shot back, the fire of resolve blazing again within her. "Why can't we learn together? Why can't we become a community that supports each other? We're better than this fear." A few people nodded in agreement, the spark of connection igniting again. Hope fluttered in her chest as she felt the shift. But she also sensed the tension from those still clinging to their reservations, eyes narrowed and arms crossed. A fight was far from over. "I know I'm just one person against this wall of resistance," she pressed, "but I believe love can move mountains. If we unite, we can show this child they're not alone. They may be a forgotten baby, but they have an endless family waiting to embrace them." Suddenly, a collective gasp echoed through the diner, slicing through the tension thickening in the air again. Someone had risen, seeking the floor, whispering something among the concerned murmurs. Who was brave enough to speak against the current weight of judgment? As all eyes shifted, Lily's heart thundered louder, a mix of hope and dread. What revelation lay ahead? Would this moment bring them closer or expose deeper divides? She held her breath, eager yet terrified of the truth that was now undeniably about to surface. "Lily," the voice cut through the crowd, steady and clear. It was Mary, a soft-spoken woman who once volunteered on the town council. She stepped forward, her hands trembling at her sides, but her expression remained resolute. "I was afraid to say anything. But I think we might have a way to really help this baby." Lily's heart skipped. Mary's willingness to step into the light felt like a lifeline tossed amidst a storm. Everyone turned to her, the murmurs fading until the room vibrated with anticipation. "It's been 12 years since the last child came into this town," Mary continued, her voice gaining strength. "Years of neglect, of turning away from the idea of family. But it doesn't have to be like that. We could form a community support group. A network of friends and families who can be there for this child for each other." The mayor's brow furrowed, clearly taken aback by the sudden shift. "And where do you expect to get the resources? There's nothing left in our town for such initiatives." "There has to be," Mary countered, visibly gathering her courage. "If we all pitch in time, skills, even ideas for fundraisers, we can do it. We've done it before. Remember the Harvest Festival? We brought in enough to restore the park. We just need to believe we're worth it again." The tension in the room began to dissolve, replaced by a fragile sense of hope. Several heads nodded, and a few voices even called out in agreement. "We could organize a bake sale," someone suggested. "A car wash with the kids from the school," another added. Lily felt a swell of emotion rising in her chest. For the first time, the buzz of excitement drowned out the doubts of the skeptics. Could this really be happening? "I'll help with the baby," Mary said, her eyes meeting Lily's, filled with warmth. I can lend a hand, share my space, whatever you need. Her words ignited a spark in the others. Slowly, one by one, volunteers began to emerge, eager to assist, touchingly motivated by a shared sense of purpose. Local businesses popped into the conversation too, ready to donate supplies and support any way they could. Somewhere deep inside her, a realization dawned: they weren't just coming together to help a baby. They were starting to rebuild themselves. The laughter of children had once filled their streets, and now, a wave of communal energy thrummed like a heartbeat. I never thought I'd see this, the mayor murmured under his breath, though he couldn't hide the flicker of pride dancing in his eyes. He shifted his stance, his authority fading, replaced by a growing understanding of the unity forming around him. As the meeting continued, ideas flowed like water, each suggestion sharper than the last. Lily could scarcely believe her ears. Was this a dream? A ripple of laughter and determination pulsed through the diner, as people exchanged phone numbers and brainstormed ideas. Old Joe, initially hesitant, chuckled loudly now, bringing up things he could do with carpentry to create toys. Yet beneath the rising energy, a shadow lurked, the trepidation of the unknown. There was still the matter of why the baby was abandoned, the swells of fear still brewing from those who hadn't yet joined the wave of optimism. Just when Lily thought the tide had turned, a woman with cool eyes spoke up from the back, her voice slicing the cheer. And how do we know that whoever left that baby won't come back to haunt us? The room fell silent once again, tension tightening like a noose. Who was this woman, and where was that seed of doubt taking them? Did they dare venture out into light amid dark shadows? Lily's heart raced, uncertainty grabbing her throat like a vice. Would this newfound bond withstand the reveal of truths still hidden? How would they shield the child from the fears that had kept the community in the dark for so long? Just as hope blossomed, a question hung heavy in the air: what were they truly risking for the love of this forgotten baby? The air felt dense, thick with unease. Lily looked around, trying to gauge the reactions of those around her. The initial excitement seemed to flicker, like a candle in a gust of wind. She felt a tightening in her chest as anxiety settled over the crowd. The woman's words had cast a shadow that loomed just above their newly budding hope. Mary stepped forward again, her voice steady, despite the tremor of uncertainty in the room. "We can't let fear guide us," she said, her gaze sweeping the faces before her. "We owe it to this child to try. To be a family, regardless of our pasts, and to stand tall against whatever lies ahead." The mayor cleared his throat, uncomfortable with the stark reality brought forth. "And if the person who left the baby comes back?" he asked, his eyes narrowing. "What then?" A murmur rippled through the crowd. Fears, laced with memories of the past, began to surface. There were whispers about family separations, and stories of hurt that echoed through the years. Each mention added weight, making the air heavy with doubt. Lily felt her heart racing. She remembered the laughter, the tight-knit community that had once thrived. Now, they were feeling the cracks years of neglect had turned them inward. This baby was a beacon of hope, but perhaps also a reminder of everything broken. "Change is hard," a voice called out from the back. It was a man she barely recognized, his face hardened by time and struggle. "What if we try, and it all falls apart again?" We've lost so much. His bitterness pierced Lily. She could see the pain etched across his features, but beneath it lay a yearning for connection, for belonging. In that moment, she understood the baby was not just a chance to help another soul, but a chance to save themselves. "Then we try again." Lily burst forth, her voice filling the silence. "Every one of us has faced loss. We've been knocked down. But we're still here. If we let fear control our actions, we abandon this child to the same loneliness we've felt for so long. Don't we deserve better?" Heads began to nod slowly, the light of truth dawning in their eyes. People shifted in their seats, a resurgence of hope tingling like electricity within the space. "Let us share our stories," Mary said, her smile breaking through. "What if we could heal together? We could face these fears head-on. We could hold each other accountable. Old Joe, his earlier laughter still brightening his face, jumped in. I can share stories from the park. The time I carved that giant eagle for the festival that brought us all together. We can do that again. Lily's heart soared. This was it, the idea of community was knitting itself back together, stitch by stitch. The doubts would always remain, but it was the love and laughter they missed that could guide them through the storm. As conversation ignited again, reaching between hope and fear, Lily's eyes caught the woman who had spoken earlier. She seemed different now, the ice in her gaze melting just slightly. Maybe they could find common ground. But just as Lily was about to extend an olive branch, darkness swirled once again. A noise echoed in the diner, a sharp knock at the door interrupted their reunion. Everyone paused, uncertainty washing over them anew. Lily could feel the room holding its breath, fear returned like a tidal wave. Who was it on the other side? Would they carry the weight of secrets, reminding them of all they feared? As the door creaked open, Lily braced herself. They were standing at the edge of something monumental, and her heart trembled with the possibility of what was to come. What if the answer to their questions was just a heartbeat away? The door swung open with a creak that echoed in the silent diner. Light from the flickering sign outside spilled over the threshold, illuminating the tall figure standing there. A chill swept through the room as everyone's gaze snapped toward the stranger. Lily's heart raced. The figure's face was obscured by shadows, but it was the outline that sent a shiver down her spine. Its presence felt heavy, like an anchor trying to pull them back into the depths of their fears. Can I help you? The mayor asked, his voice barely above a whisper. The figure stepped forward, and as it emerged into the light, gasps filled the diner. The woman who had spoken earlier took a step back, her expression shifting from confusion to disbelief. It can't be, she breathed, and the weight of the moment settled over them like a thick blanket. The woman belonged to another world, one far removed from their aching community. Her clothes were elegant, her hair perfectly styled, and behind her was a desperate energy, something raw and unsteady. For a moment, it felt like time froze. But it was Lily who broke the silence first. Who are you? Her voice was stronger than she felt, and it rang out in the quiet room. The woman hesitated, her eyes darting across the faces before her. I am here for the baby. Her words hung in the air, thick with reverberations of past pain and present hope. Lily's stomach dropped. The baby. She had hoped to shield that innocent life from turmoil, not to expose it to further complications. What did this woman want? Had she come to take the baby away or, perhaps, to explain why she had left it in the first place? Fear transformed into confusion, and Lily could see a mixture of anger and protectiveness grow among the townsfolk. Mary stepped forward, her voice calm and steady, aiming to diffuse the tension. You left the child. Why now? The woman's expression shifted, anguish flickering in her eyes. I was scared. I thought it was for the best. But I can't stay away. I've realized that I need to be here. I need to face my past, and to understand this beautiful gift I abandoned. Her words tumbled out, each one weighed with regret and longing. The crowd exchanged wary glances, and Lily felt her pulse quicken with apprehension. Could they trust her? Did they want to trust her? Old Joe, always the one to speak from the heart, raised his voice above the whispering crowd. You think you can just walk in and claim what you left behind? This is a community of resilience, and we will protect that child. The woman's shoulders slumped, and she looked down, as if the weight of their words pressed her down. I know I don't have a right to ask for forgiveness, but I'm willing to fight for this child. For a chance to be part of this family. But as she spoke, Lily felt something shift. There was a flicker of recognition in the woman, the deep yearning for connection was unmistakable. It mirrored her own feelings about the baby, the love that had been neglected, now kindling into something alive. Just then, another knock sounded from the door, harder this time. Alarm jolted through the diner. Who else could be at the door? Someone whispered. Lily turned to the door, dread creeping in as she wondered what else could possibly follow this confrontation. The air felt electric, tensions heightened, and she feared their newfound hope would crack under the weight of yet another secret. As the door swung open again, this time revealing not just one figure, but two, they stood on the precipice of a storm. What were they about to unleash? The door swung wide, revealing two figures, one of them unmistakably the grizzled man everyone recognized as Jake, the baby's estranged father. But beside him stood a woman, her arms crossed tightly against her chest, as if barricading herself against the noise of emotions swirling in the diner. Gasps rippled through the crowd once again, a blend of shock and curiosity melding into a thick atmosphere. Tension coiled in the air, palpable and electric. Lily felt her heart hammer as every eye darted between the newly arrived duo and the woman still standing in the dim light. Jake. Mary's voice carried a hint of disbelief. What are you doing here? I heard. He paused, glancing at the woman beside him as if seeking her support. I heard there was someone here claiming the baby. The woman beside Jake stepped forward, anxiety radiating from her posture. I'm Alice, and I'm here for you. Her voice trembled like a leaf, but there was firmness in her intent. Both of you. A collective silence fell over the diner, every single person hanging on to Alice's word. The emotional weight grew heavier. Questions ricocheted in Lily's mind. What was Alice's connection to this unfolding drama? Why now? Old Joe, still on edge, barked out again. After all this time, you both just show up. Alice drew in a shaky breath as she turned to face them. Because we realized that the past doesn't just disappear, she said, passion igniting her eyes. We can't pretend it doesn't matter anymore. Jake's fists clenched at his sides. I didn't know, he started, his voice breaking. I thought I was doing the right thing, thinking I could let Lilith handle things. But it's not enough. I need to face my mistakes. The crowd shifted, whispers rippling like water across the surface of calm. Lily felt the colors of the moment deepen, a kaleidoscope of emotions swirling around her. Could Jake and Alice truly seek reconciliation? Did they genuinely want to be part of that little life they had both walked away from? The woman from before, still caught in the shadows, had been listening quietly, each of their revelations gnawing at her resolve. With a newfound determination, she faced Jake and Alice. You all need to understand, the child was never just a piece of the past. She is living, breathing, full of hope, and she deserves more than apologies. She deserves love. The words landed heavy, palpable in the quiet space between them. Recognition flickered in the eyes of both Jake and Alice as they absorbed the reality of their past choices cascading like a series of tragic waves. Before anyone could digest the moment fully, a loud crash echoed from the back of the diner, bringing everyone to a halt. A man, wild-eyed and frantic, burst through the kitchen door. You need to listen. The baby, she's in danger. Lily's pulse quickened, an instinctive dread creeping into her heart. Every face turned toward the newcomer, confusion morphing into uncertainty. The fragile threads of connection they'd just begun to weave together were fraying at the edges. What could possibly await them now? Would they be able to protect the child and grapple with their second chance at love, or were they about to lose everything once again? The diner pulsated with a sudden energy, the tension tangling with fear as the man's words hung thick in the air. What do you mean the baby's in danger? Jake's voice was hoarse, cutting through the chaos like a knife. He took a step forward, eyes locked onto the frantic figure. The man, whose name was Mark, looked around as if assessing the crowd. I just saw their couple outside, and they've been watching the place. I overheard them talking about taking her, the baby. Gasps rippled out again, intertwining with the shock in the atmosphere. Eyes darted around, uncertainty spreading like wildfire as Lily clutched the edge of the table, her knuckles white. The stranger's words sent a chill down her spine. Fear for the little one sparked in her heart, triggering adrenaline that coursed through her veins. With a protective instinct taking over, Alice moved closer to Jake, her fear evident yet protected behind the fire in her eyes. She's just a baby. What do they want? Mark shook his head, panic evident. I don't know, but they seemed desperate. They talked about getting the baby back to her real family, whatever that means. Silence pressed down again like a weight, each person in the diner absorbing the implications of Mark's warning. Suddenly, the atmosphere felt explosive. They were moments away from a life-changing confrontation. Jake turned to Lily, his face a mixture of desperation and determination. Where's Lilith? We need to get her out. Now. The urgency in his voice pulled Lily from her trance. She's in the back with Mary, I think. Lily managed to breathe out, glancing toward the kitchen where her friend was. They need to come out. Old Joe stepped forward, a steely expression on his weathered face. We can't just sit here. If these people are really out there, we need to protect that baby. Alice nodded, steel in her voice. You're right. I'll go get her. She turned toward the kitchen, the determination etched on her features. But before she could move, a loud bang echoed outside, rattling the windows. The diner fell into chaos as all heads turned to the door, apprehension drawing every breath tight. Oh God, Lily whispered as an uneasy silence fell, hanging heavily before the next sound shuddered into life, the hurried footsteps of someone approaching. Mark's eyes widened. They're coming here. Courage surged through Lily. We have to do something. She stood up, heart galloping in her chest. If we work together, we can protect her. We can protect all of them. As Jake nodded, the energy shifted, the air growing thicker with resolve. They all had uncertain hearts but the will to fight for the love that radiated from that child. Another crash interrupted the moment, this one closer, and suddenly the door swung open with a bang, revealing two figures silhouetted against the fading daylight. Their faces were harsh and determined, eyes scanning the room with lethal intensity. Let us in. We're not leaving without the baby. One man shouted, a mixture of rage and desperation in his voice, making every hair on the back of Lily's neck stand up. Jake stepped forward, fists clenched, ready to defend as Alice moved beside him, a fierce look clouding her features. You think you can take her? You have no idea what you're up against. Lily felt the weight of every soul in the diner behind her, the shared courage igniting her own heart. What was unfolding felt like a storm ready to unleash its fury, and she could sense it had barely just begun. What would happen next? Could they band together against this unexpected threat? Would love and determination be enough in the face of danger? As the tension reached its peak, they readied themselves for the fight that could change everything. The diner's air was electric, crackling with tension as the two men stood at the entrance, their figures stark against the darkening sky. Heartbeats raced, merging into a drumbeat of fear and desperation. Jake's grip tightened, and he flexed his fingers, drawing from every ounce of courage. Step back. He shouted, the authority in his voice surprising even himself. The strangers didn't move, their eyes reflecting a fierce determination. Alice stood close to Jake, her stance wide, elbows bent, ready to fight. For a moment, they were united, two warriors against an unseen army. Who are you? Alice demanded, trying to project strength beneath her trembling voice. You don't know what you're messing with. One of the men sneered, brushing a hand through his disheveled hair. We don't want trouble. Just give us the baby, and we'll go. His words dripped with a condescension that made Lily's blood boil. No, Lily found herself saying, taking a step forward. Her heart raced as she locked eyes with Jake, then Alice. You can't just waltz in here and demand her like she is some sort of object. She is a child. Stay back, Lily. Mark warned, stepping closer to her, an anchor against the rising tide of fear, yet she felt the pull of bravery tugging at her spirit. The men exchanged glances, confusion flickering in the depths of their hardened expressions. What do you care about her? The second man, taller and gruffer, barked. She's not yours. Lily swallowed hard, the heat of anger mixing with something else, an overwhelming need to protect. She thought about the soft coos of the baby, the tender warmth, and the innocent gaze that could melt any heart. She's family, she whispered, a plea that seemed to connect to something deep inside the gathering crowd. Jake shifted slightly, glancing between Lily and the men. You need to leave. You think we're going to hand her over? That's not going to happen. And if we don't? The first man stepped further into the diner, his hand edging closer to his pocket, suggesting something dangerous lingered there. A murmur of concern ran through the patrons, and fear clung to the air like smoke. Jake felt a chill as he realized this wasn't just a threat, it was a fight for survival. We won't let you take her, he vowed, his voice steady, his feet rooted to the ground. The tension thickened, the distance between the two groups collapsing in on itself. The sounds of chairs scraping against the floor faded as everyone in the diner held their breath, waiting for a spark to ignite the situation. Then, in a move that felt both brave and reckless, Lily cried out, "You don't understand. She's not yours to take. You can't just," but the sound of her resolve was drowned out when chaos erupted. The men charged, shoving past those in their way like a stampede, eyes wild and desperate. Jake and Alice stood their ground, fists ready, hearts pounding. Time slowed as screeches of panic erupted around them, and the diner erupted into chaos, chairs falling, voices raised, a cacophony of effort to protect. "Get Lilith!" Jake yelled, his eyes scanning desperately for the kitchen door. It needed to stay shut, they couldn't let those men get to her. But as they moved to barricade, one of the men lunged at Alice, and in an instant, the knife within his pocket gleamed ominously beneath the flickering diner lights. Lily's breath caught in her throat. No. Would they be able to fight off these desperate intruders? And what if the baby was truly at risk? As the diner's chaos swirled around her, one thing was certain: this confrontation was just beginning, and the stakes were higher than anyone had anticipated. The diner erupted into chaos, a whirlwind of shouts and fear. Jake's heart pounded as he lunged toward Alice, reaching out just in time to grab her wrist, pulling her back from the man's violent swing. The flickering overhead lights threw weird shadows, making the scene feel surreal, but the danger was very real. "Stay close," he shouted, his voice strained but clear over the clamor. The world around them narrowed. It was just the four of them now, the two intruders and their small band of defenders. Lily's resolve strengthened as the men advanced. She felt the weight of every eye in the diner. People weren't just watching, they were listening, waiting for a sign of what to do next. "We won't let you take her," she yelled, the words bursting from her like a dam breaking. A few patrons nodded, determination sparking in their eyes. "Back down. We didn't come here for a fight." The first man sneered, pulling the knife out of his pocket. He waved it, light glinting off the blade, and for a moment, the world outside the diner vanished. Nothing mattered but the danger in front of them. Alice took a deep breath, the sound of her heart thumping like a drum in her ears. "You think we're scared? She's precious to us." Her words hung in the air, bold and fierce. Jake admired her courage, but he knew it might not be enough. "Precious or not, she's not yours," the taller man growled, each word laced with venom. He took a steady step forward, the knife menacingly pointed toward the group. Every person in the diner held their breath, collective fear making the atmosphere thick with tension. Then the unimaginable happened. A senior man sitting near the entrance, frail but with an explosive spirit, stood up. "Enough of this," he bellowed, surprising everyone. His voice cracked like thunder. "You've lost your way. You think this is strength?" The room fell silent, all eyes turning to the old man. For a brief moment, the intruders were taken aback, uncertainty flickering in their eyes. "Strength lies in protecting the weak, not threatening them," he continued, defiant, unwavering. The flicker of hope coursed through Jake and the others, a sign that not everyone in their small diner had wilted under pressure. But the men weren't so easily deterred. The first man sneered, instinctively stepping back, though the knife remained raised. "You don't know who you're talking to." "Let us show them who we are," his partner growled, shoving past the old man, ready to take action. The tension became palpable again as Lily felt her heart race. It was now or never. "Stop!" she shouted, her voice cutting through the thick air. She stepped forward, shaking with a mix of fear and determination. "You want her? You'll have to go through us." Stunned murmurs spread among the crowd. Jake joined her and Alice, shoulder to shoulder, ready to defend their home, their family, this little girl who had brought them all together. As the intruders squared up against them, uncertainty danced in the air. This was not just a fight anymore, it became a stand against everything that had ever threatened their tranquility. What would happen when all their courage collided with the intruders' desperation? Would they manage to protect the baby or face a harsher reality? The weight of those questions pressed down hard, and the moment hung almost painfully, like a bowstring taut and ready to snap. Then, just as the tension peaked, the diner's door swung open again, and a figure appeared, a shadow with purpose. The familiarity of the figure ignited a flicker of hope, but it was unclear what impact they would have amidst the chaos. Who could it be? What could they possibly add to this volatile moment? The figure stepped into the diner, and the room fell silent. It was Sarah, the town's lawyer, known for both her wisdom and unwavering courage in the face of adversity. Her presence seemed to breathe hope into the room, her eyes taking in the scene before her. "Stop right there," she commanded, her voice sharp yet resolute, echoing off the walls. The tension in the air shifted, and for the first time, the intruders hesitated, uncertainty flickering in their eyes. Jake, still braced for conflict, glanced at Sarah with a mix of gratitude and disbelief. "You shouldn't be here, Sarah." "I shouldn't be." "You need someone who understands what's at stake," she replied, crossing her arms defiantly as she moved closer to the front. "You're threatening the safety of everyone in this diner. Do you really think that this will end well for you?" The men shifted, glances darting between Sarah and the rest of the crowd. Lily felt her heart quicken, a powerful energy renewed by Sarah's boldness. They weren't just fighting for the baby anymore, they were fighting for the very fabric of their community. "Enough with this charade," Jake shouted, recognizing the moment. "We're not backing down. Not now, not ever." His voice rang with conviction, reverberating through every corner. The taller intruder, who had been the most aggressive, sneered, "You think this is about strength? You don't understand what we're dealing with." Lily stepped forward, her heart pounding. "We understand more than you think," she yelled. "We've all felt abandoned, trust me, we know. But hurting others won't fix your issues, it just escalates the pain." A murmured agreement rippled through the crowd. Old Joe chimed in, "She's right. If you want to fight, fight for something worthwhile, not to tear down a community that's just starting to rebuild." The tension shifted again, uncertainty etched on the faces of the intruders. "Your threats mean nothing here," Sarah added, her voice steady and focused. "You may not care about this baby or the people in this diner, but there are consequences to your actions. We will not tolerate them." "Consequences?" The first man scoffed, but for the first time, his bravado wavered. "We are stronger together," Lily spoke, her heart racing with fierce determination. "And you'll find an entire town ready to protect what's theirs. You think you're alone in this battle, but take a look around. We're not just helpless bystanders." As the words poured from her heart, a quiet realization dawned: this was no longer about the baby alone. This was about claiming their lives back, about standing united against the shadows that had haunted them for too long. "You really think they care?" The second man spat, but his voice was weaker now, uncertainty evident. "Care?" Jake replied, inching closer. "More than you'll ever know. We are here to fight for love, for family, for each other. And we will not let fear take that from us." Lily felt the weight of their resolve anchoring her. She turned to the crowd, her voice trembling with emotion. This baby deserves a chance at family. A chance at love. And together, that's what we can give her. The challenge sparked something in the townsfolk. Murmurs spread across the diner, a collective strength rising from the ashes of despair. When Sarah stepped forward, strength coursed in her stride. Leave now, and we'll forget this ever happened. But if you stay, know that we will fight back. Finally, the men pulled back slightly, the fire of desire in their eyes replaced with concern. We don't have to be enemies, the first man said, his voice lacking the kick it held minutes before. But don't think we'll walk away empty-handed. Sarah tilted her head, a flicker of understanding crossing her lips. Then we understand each other more than you think. There's a path that can lead us out of this darkness, but that decision is yours. In that breath of clarity, as seconds stretched into timeless stretches of hope, every person in the diner felt the swell of possibility. They had each been fighting their own battles, and together, they could rise above. That pulse of courage lit the heart of the diner, a feeling that flowed from person to person, igniting something once lost, unity. Old Joe stepped forward, fists clenched but with earnestness brightening his weathered face. If you walk out that door now, we won't hold grudges. But if you want this community at war, you will find a spirit you didn't expect. For a long moment, the air held. Then abruptly, the taller man nodded reluctantly. We'll think about it. With one last disdainful look at the group, the two backed away, fingers twitching by their sides, retreating into the dim evening light. With a collective sigh, the townsfolk filled the diner with applause, cheers bursting forth like a summer storm after a long drought. Their spirits ignited, glimmering with every burst of support. Lily's heart swelled as she looked around at the faces of her friends and neighbors, realizing they were now more than just a group of strangers. They were a community reborn through love and resilience, ready to embrace the child they would soon protect. What now? Someone asked, the excitement buzzing in the room as they turned to face their allies. That's the start of a network, Sarah chimed in, but it's just the beginning. And the baby? Mary spoke, eyes brightening, hope sparked anew. The guests nodded, hearts harmonizing as visions of future possibilities bloomed within them. Because they were fighting not just for a child abandoned, but for hope and for a place called home. Lily felt tears stream down her face, tears that spoke of triumph and the beauty of a rebirth shared. They weren't just reclaiming the child, but rediscovering themselves. As the buzz of ideas and considerations spun around her, Lily knew this was only the start. The whispers of what tomorrow could hold intermingled with laughter and anticipation, creating a future filled with love woven through shared stories. This was their moment. Together they would transform the light of that forgotten baby into something vibrant, and they would surely find even joy in the journey ahead. And just before the diner's doors closed that night, she felt the warmth of every heart intertwining as they moved toward a future anew. Thank you, she whispered. The thank you was for them all, for the love that would lead them away from neglect and despair toward laughter that could fill their town once more. As for the baby, they would rise as a united family. And with the dawn, they would weave a collective story of love, strength, and promise, and narrative that would echo through the generations. Now that you've reached the end, here's what I need you to do: subscribe immediately to the channel so you don't miss the next exclusive stories. This is the moment to show your support and let us keep this community growing. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and keep the good vibes coming. And comment your reactions and feelings about this incredible ending. I want to know how it impacted you. But don't wait not even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. Together, we can spread love and hope. Let us keep building this family.